Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm here to do another reading update. I have to say I outdid myself this time. I didn't even try to read short books, and yet I still managed to answer all of the questions for round 3. I promise you I am not necessarily trying to do a round every week. It just happened. But yeah, so I did have a couple of DNFs. Let's just get started. So the first book I finished this week was I'd Rather Be Reading The Delights and Dilemmas of the Reading Life by Anne Vogel. Okay, I just realized every week I'm doing this update and I don't actually explain what these questions are for. I'm participating in the end of summer mood reading readathon. I'll tag the hosts, but yeah. You answer a question after each book, and I'll talk about the questions as I go. So, yeah. I keep forgetting to do that for the past 2 updates, so, yeah. Anyway, book 1 is I'd Rather Be Reading The Delights and Dilemmas of the Reading Life by Anne Vogel. I'm trying to get more nonfiction into my reading, and this one was short. It's just practical, just the random little pitfalls you find in the reading life. Anne Vogel is the host of the What Should I Read Next podcast. I've sort of fallen off it for a while. She basically picks someone to interview. They give her their 3 favorite books, and she gives them advice on what to read next. So yeah, it's just kind of talking about the joys and pitfalls of the reading life, and it's really fun. It's really hard to describe. But the first question is a good quote. Like, what's a good quote for this book? Name a good quote from this book. And I found this one funny. The harder I push a book on a reader, the less likely she is to read it. And nowhere is this truer than in my own home. Yep. I mean, that is totally true. I wouldn't have become a reader if my family liked reading. I became a reader because they don't. Like, that is like my rebellion because, yeah, I'm nothing like them. So, yeah, it's just true. The next book I read, I kind of went on a Lisa Timony kick. I liked the books I read, and I just kept going. So the first one I read is Her Daughter's Secret. I give this one 5 stars. So we have, Bia is our main character. She's a mother, whose husband dies, and her daughter basically runs away. And so B, is kind of lonely, so she pours her love and attention into her 6-year-old niece, Phoebe, even taking her in when her single father takes a job in another country. Actually, he goes to New York, if I'm not wrong, and they're in England. He's a terrible father. So, yeah. Phoebe also has some special needs. She has this huge, like, warts on her face, like, birthmarks on her face, and part of her body, so, like, kids make fun of her. It's ugly. And she also has seizures, so, B is very protective of her. And, yeah, she's really her only champion. Like, that whole family, her father, and then her grandmother, which is his mother, they're monsters. Yeah. So she goes to live in this, like, horrible rich house, and they boss her around because they blame her for, Phoebe's father blames her for the death of his wife. And also, they're very upset because Imogen, which is her daughter, ran away from home, and she used to be their pride and joy, and she became an alcoholic instead, and so it's a whole family drama of it all. So then Imogen returns in desperate need of her mother's help, but her Phoebe's father made it very clear that he will never let B see Phoebe again if she welcomes her daughter back into her life. So what should she do? That theme fascinated me. So what was the exact moment in this book where you felt it really hooked you and made you want to keep reading? Honestly, it's just that I love a parental dilemma in a book. She loves her niece with special needs, but how do you choose between her and your own daughter, especially when, like, your own daughter is an adult for all intents and purposes. And Phoebe is a 6-year-old child who is essentially an orphan because her father's, like, gone, and her grandma, like, neither one of them really love her. So, like, how do you abandon this kid to take care of the one who may not even want to take care of herself? So it's a dilemma. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one, and it was a great read. I like this author. Then I DNF'd Dolly All the Time by Annabelle Monaghan. Honestly, a lot of people have read this one. Chloe has talked about it in her new release video. I know Amanda and Book Lover Amanda and Oshina both read it and liked it. I just didn't. But yeah. It was the trope, really. Basically, this one is about a single mother. What's her name? Dolly. Duh. Dolly All the Time. Dolly gets a call from that her father's house or business or something is on fire, and she goes home to help him out for the summer. She has a special needs brother, and she also has a 13-year-old son she has to take care of. Like, it's all sounds good, but she meets this guy, this rich guy, and right away this rich guy is a jerk. Like, yeah, it was enraging. His name is Stuart. He has a flat tire, and he's in the middle of a humiliating breakup. It's very public, and yeah. Oof. This isn't my favorite genre at all. Like, this, really, that's actually the next question. Is this your favorite genre, or is it something out of your comfort zone? Did it surprise you in any way? So yeah, romance is not my favorite genre. Romance is very hit or miss for me, but I normally love this author, so I thought I could give her a chance. But this guy is just obnoxious. There's the fake dating of it all, like, that's the trope. Everybody says it's for a good reason, but I just have a really hard time empathizing with his need to have a fake girlfriend. Like, he wants to look good for his company and his parents, and he literally wants her to lie to the press saying that he knows how to change his tire. Like, the fact that you need her to inflate your ego that much, I don't really think you deserve it, and you deserve all of the public embarrassments that you get, because you need to learn how to change a tire, and you are pathetic, and I hate you. Oof. I read 60 pages, and I couldn't do it. I'm not inflating this fictional man's giant ego. So, bye-bye. Yeah, that was a DNF. His next book, I went back to Lisa Timoni, whatever. His Secret Wife is the next book. Basically, this one was wild. But I almost wish that this one... Wait. What was the question for this one? No. Yeah. I wish this was the book I'd gotten when it asks, like, if the description fit the book, because it did not fit the book. What happens when his secret wife is the only one who can save your child? Basically, this guy has 2 wives. They don't know about each other. Like, he's got 2 families, 2 kids exactly the same age, and he's juggling between them. It's wild. And they both at the same, they meet at this ADHD support group because both of their kids have ADHD and anxiety disorders of some kind. But the big thing that, yeah, they find out about each other, you know, that his kids are half siblings, and yeah, that they're married to the same guy. It was pretty wild, but the cool thing is that they become friends before this, and they do have a little rough patch when they find out about each other. One of them blames the other one, and all of that. But really, the tagline at the beginning of the description is really dumb. What happens when his secret wife is the only one who can save your child? I thought that her kid was going to have cancer or something, and she needed blood or something from the other sibling. No, the big saving thing is that his half-sister is the only one who can make him talk. He has selective mutism. It's part of his anxiety. So where, like, when something traumatic happens, he stops talking, and his sister is the only one who can, yeah. So we have, the two women are, I'll just read the description. Elle has the perfect life, a hardworking husband, a clever little boy, and a gorgeous home in a quaint neighborhood. Elle is like the stay-at-home mom. She's, she's pretty rich. Jen also has the perfect life, a passionate relationship with a doting husband, a creative little girl, and an exciting career. She is like a theater director, and she is kind of an ice queen, but she makes friends with Elle, and, like, I love sort of their team. Yeah. But this really did make it sound like a bigger deal than it was. So, what is the first sentence of this book? Did it make you keep reading? I'll read the first paragraph. I hadn't planned to propose. Maybe it was the pregnancy hormones or the buzz of first night nerves. I'm not sure. Oh. Yeah. I thought it was part of the paragraph. I wrote that I'm not sure that this first paragraph did it for me. All I thought was, oh, you dummy. Because I knew from the title that she was just one of his wives. And I also talked about the description being misleading. But it was still good. It just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And honestly, both women were really, I don't swear, but the only word for it is badass. Then we have another DNF, which is interesting because it's a Lisa Timoni book. The Daughter She Gave Away. This is the first one that I heard about because it just came out last year. I think this is like her second newest release. She had another one that came out this year. But she's off her game. This sucked. Basically, this sounded good. And it wasn't. You've been keeping a secret from your daughter her whole life. When Meg gets a terrible diagnosis, her only thought is for her family. How will her husband Simon and their beautiful, sweet-hearted 14-year-old daughter Grace cope when she's gone? She also knows that she has to finally tell Grace a secret their family is built on. That Simon is Grace's father, she isn't Grace's birth mother. Because Simon was married before and his first wife, Cassie, hadn't wanted to keep their baby. So, we don't even see Grace. This book starts right after she tells Grace that she's adopted. Grace goes running off. Like, we don't even see Grace. We only hear that she ran off to her room crying, so she decides to make a video of herself telling Grace her story, so Grace can see it after she dies, and that is kind of the basis for her story. We find out what happened in the past through her making this video. We don't even meet Grace, as far as, I didn't get far enough. And then the present day is Cassie's perspective. These are all terrible people. Like, all of them are terrible people. Number 5 is a free space, by the way, question 5, so I just wrote notes. One dying mother who didn't tell her kid she's adopted, and now she wants to tell her, and, I just thought it was going to be this emotional story where we see this mother-daughter bond. But what we get instead is finding out Grace storms away crying, and Meg is burying her soul into a video camera. And then we have Cassie, who is the bio mom. And it turns out that Meg was a homewrecker in their marriage. So we get to listen to her justify cheating with a married man. Which is fun. and the woman's pregnant. But let's not feel too sorry for Cassie, okay? She basically tries to... Okay, I'm not judging the termination. You do you. I'm not... Whatever. She tries to terminate the pregnancy, and then when her husband convinces her not to, I guess she ends up kind of hating the baby because of the affair. And so she lets... I don't even know how this works because I didn't... She gives it to the husband and then goes on to remarry and lie to her new husband, saying she had a stillborn? What? And I can't even feel sorry for him because he's a non-emotional person who just talks in therapeutic psychobabble. Like, he's a therapist and he just, every time, I'm not saying lying is good, but every time she tells a little white lie, like she's crying about something and she doesn't tell her kid the truth about why she has another boy, another little kid. She has another child. And he catches her crying, and she lies and says she saw something on the news that made her cry. And her husband is always, like, lecturing her about lying to her kid. And he's not wrong, but, like, he's so pompous and unemotional, and he just uses a lot of therapy talk. And I'm like, can you shut up and act like a human? Wow. Anyway, I DNF that. So, let's go on to another book, shall we? The Child We Lost by Sheila Norton. I was just in a very women's fiction mood. I give it some 4 stars. This is another author I love. All these British women's fiction authors. What would you do if your lost child came back? So basically we have twins. We have Josh and Ruby. Josh gets hit by a car and, well, he dies. It's the premise of the story. And then a year and a half later, Ruby insists that she keeps seeing him at school. So it's the mystery. Is she seeing him? Is she not seeing him? What's going on? And yeah, everybody thinks that the mom's crazy because she starts seeing him too. He looks alike. How is this possible? And so she starts like kind of coming up with wild theories. She didn't see the body. Her husband didn't actually want her to see what he looked like. So she starts wondering, like, is my husband a terrible person? Did he lie to me? You know, that whole thing. She goes on a wild thing. A wild goose chase. Her mind goes places that make people think she's nuts. So, what are the best things about this book? What did the author do very well? Character writing, plot, etc. One interesting thing is that one of the perspectives is from the grandma. So we have the mom and the grandma. Those are the 2 different perspectives of the book. Vicky is the mom. And I thought it was interesting because you don't really see grandmas too much. Unless, like, mom's dead. And she has, like, custody of the kid or something. Also, I keep wondering why British people are so weird about divorce. Like, because, you know, the parents are divorced since the kid passed away. The husband kind of let go of his hand until he blames himself, and she kind of goes, yeah, they're separated. And I find it interesting how different, like, custody works in, well, British books, or in England, I guess. Because, like, here, we say kids have 2 homes. They, you know, custody. We don't say we're going to go visit dad. Or she has a room when she stays with him. Like, that's kind of the language they use out there, and I'm just like, I don't like that. It just sounds like she's a visitor at her dad's house, and it's just, ugh. In every book, dads always have every other weekend versus every other week, like we do here now. I don't know. Like, do they ever have joint custody? Or... And it's always like, those books make it sound like dad left the family. Instead of dad left the wife. Or whatever. I don't know. It just... The representation of divorce has always sort of bothered me in British books. Yeah. I didn't really care about the grandma storyline too much, though, because we had like a side story about her tutoring kids, and I just didn't care. It could have been left out. That's why I gave it 4 stars. Then I finally read the Orphans of St. Agnes series. I can't talk too much about it because it's a trilogy. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. The first one's called The Home for War Orphans. I give it some 4 stars. It was okay. We have 2 perspectives in this one. Margot and Helen. Helen is the owner of the orphanage of St. Agnes, and she's trying to get all the kids to safety. She's got 3 Jewish kids, so she wants to get them all to America, and she's got some secrets. And then we have Margot's perspective. There's 3 main orphans that are part of this whole series. You have Margot, Margot's sister Lucy, and their friend Gisette, which is another orphan. I mean, they kind of consider them, they're sisters because they live together, essentially. Although, yeah. But in this first one, it's pretty much just a long road trip. And they keep getting sidetracked, and yeah. They drop off Lucy at a safe house that turned out not to be so safe. She runs away, and they have to go back and find her. And Helen also has some issues. So, yeah, it was okay. I didn't really like anyone too much. I felt like Helen was too prickly, standoffish. She kind of realizes it as the book goes on. But, like, by the time that she kind of redeems herself, we never really see her again in the next 2 books. I wanted to see her be more loving, or at least let them have a reunion in the last book. But we don't. We just get a postcard saying she's good. Yeah. How long has this been on my TBR? Not long. Since December 2025. November, something like that. I've been meaning to read it all year. And, yeah, Margot and Gisette are also always fighting. They kind of hate each other. They're always competing, and Lucy's like the peacemaker of the 3. So, yeah. I don't know. It takes place in France. Helen it's hard to like anyone, because they're all kind of insufferable, but you want to know how it ends. I ended up loving Helen by the end, which is why I said that I was sad that we didn't see her in the next 2 books. But, yeah, we know that she is well. Just, I wanted more. But, honestly, I never really grow to like Margot and Gisette. Those 2 are insufferable. Which leads us to the next book, The Last War Orphan. This one actually has perspectives from all 3 girls. Helen is now gone. She's on her way to America with the 3 little kids that they rescue, or that they're trying to get out of France. So, yeah. We find out that Lucy ends up back at the orphanage, and the orphanage is run by Nazis now. So she's taking care of a bunch of orphans that live there. That's what's funny about this book. The question for this one is, did the description live up to what was inside this book? Did it give too much away? And I said that really there's nothing in the description that is reliable. It says that we see Lucy take an abandoned baby. So I thought there was just going to be 1 baby. But no, there's like 6 babies. They keep coming and coming. And like Lucy, Gisette and Margot go to rescue Lucy, and Lucy doesn't want to go with them because like she's not going to leave the babies to fend for themselves with the Nazis. And the other 2 are kind of like, who cares? We did all of this to find you. And like, they're used to Lucy just listening to them, because she's the youngest and she's kind of a mouse. But in this one, we really see her grow, and I love her. Like, she's my favorite. The other 2 can kick rocks, but I love her. Yeah, so we have like 6 kids that get abandoned at that orphanage. The description also says that she falls for a German named Klaus, and she falls for him when he rescues her from some Nazis that are bothering her. Yeah, that's not exactly how it happens. Klaus is the nephew of one of the Nazis that lives in the orphanage. So he doesn't actually want to be a Nazi. He's a good guy. His uncle hates him because he doesn't agree with their idealisms. So, yeah, he ends up living there too, because his uncle wants to try to convert him. And that's how they fall in love. He does actually rescue her from some bad Nazis later, but that's not how they meet. He's not her knight in shining armor. But, like, her sisters, well, yeah, Gisette and Margot are doing their own resistance work, but they're also, like, keeping secrets from each other. All three of them, well, they really keep a lot of secrets from Lucy because they still treat her like she's 5, and it infuriates her, so by the end of this book, they're kind of not speaking to each other. So, yeah, good times. Wait, I didn't put a question in this one. Oh, yeah, I did. Did the description, yeah. Sorry, I'm blanking. Last book in the series, The War Orphan's Courage. I give it some 3 stars. This one was the worst. I just didn't care. It focused more on Gisette and kind of her story a little bit more, but we still hear from all of them. More resistance work. It was whatever. The romances between Gisette and Paul, but we barely even see them, like, yeah, it's weird. So the question is, what is the main character's talent, gift, or superpower? I said, I would say they're good spies, but they keep screwing up because they don't trust each other, even though they're working for the same cause. Like, they're just keeping stupid secrets from each other, and they would actually do better if they trusted each other. And they're good at fighting and throwing low blows at each other. Like, they fight real dirty, and they're really mean. And the love story is abrupt and insta-lovey. But at least, like, Lucy and Klaus, you kind of see it develop. But, like, we're just told what happens with Gisette and Paul, because we, have a big time jump. So they tell us that she got captured, and we don't actually see it on page, and how they tell us that they got together and then broke up, but we don't see it happen, which is weird. I just didn't like it. It was a bad end. Yeah, it was just not a great ending. The only reason I even finished it was because I wanted to, see what happened to Lucy. That was the only interesting story. Oh yeah, and Gisette and Margot are fighting over this guy in the first 2 books. And he's not even worth fighting for. He's a jerk. Margot ends up with him, in case you care, but this book sucked. Like, I was so excited for the series. Orphans, World War II, and it just, nope. Anyway, 3 stars. I'm glad I finished the series. And I'm never reading it again. Let's see. Did I? Oh, and the other thing I found annoying was that all the men, like, the men are cool with women that are not, like, with them, like, that they're not dating. If they're dating a woman, she can't do anything dangerous. But hey, you can put another woman in danger as long as it's not mine. It was just annoying. Because, like, Paul was saying that, what's her name? That Margot could participate, and then you've got Margot's love interest saying, no, she can't. I said no. Like, you have any say? It was annoying. Anyway, next I read 2 of the same book. I read the adult version and the kids version, The Daughter of Auschwitz by Tova Friedman. I read the adult one first. This wasn't even in the plan. I was just scrolling TikTok, and I saw this video on TikTok, and it kind of made me cry when I was watching it, because she talks about how she came out of Auschwitz as a 6-year-old. She was holding her mother's hand, and all her mother said was, like, remember. And she was talking about how people didn't want to remember, and kind of how we're sort of going backwards, and there was more anti-Semitism, and the anti-Semitism is coming back. So, like, she's watching it all kind of play out again. I mean, people are like, attacking synagogues again. So I remembered that I owned her memoir, so I read it. And whew, that one's rough. The question is for this one, who would you recommend this book to even if you didn't love it? Or, yeah. And I don't know if recommend is the right word, because it's not a book you recommend. I think it's a book that should be read. I think more people should read it. I think it educates people. I think it is a necessary read for humanity. But do I recommend it? Like, do I shove it into everybody's hands? I don't know. This one is probably the hardest World War II book I've ever read, and I read a lot of them because she was 2 months old when the war started and 6.5 when it ended, and she survived. And you're reading about these atrocities from a toddler's perspective. Like 3, 4, 5, 6, that, like, her earliest memories are being under a table in the ghetto. Like, she had to sleep under the table because there was nowhere to sit, there was nowhere to be, so she just hung out under the table all day. And it just, once you get to the camps, it's horrific. It's so, like, dark. But it does what Tova wants you to do. She wanted you to remember. And you remember. Like, I'm never going to forget this book. There is a scene where Tova is... I'm not going to tell you the most horrific scene, but I'm trying to make my point. There's this one scene where she moves a dead girl outside with the other bodies, and she they're in roll call, and they ask what happened to number, because they don't say your names, they identify you by your number. And in the book, she cheerfully says, "Oh, she's dead." Like, that's how normal death is. Like, it's not even a thing. She's walking to the gas chambers, and, like, she almost dies. She walks into the gas chambers, and then they realize it was a clerical error, and all the kids got to survive because it was the wrong day. But on her way there, she sees her mother, and her mother's like, "What happened?" Because they separated her from her mom. So they put her in the kids' barracks. And so her mom's like yelling, "What happened?" And she goes, "We're going to the crematorium." Like it's a field trip to get ice cream. I mean, it's so dark. And so it made me curious to read the next one, or the kids' version, because I was like, how do you sanitize this? And yet she managed. She made the language a little less shocking, and she took out a lot of her life post-war, like what she did as an adult, because kids don't care about what you do as an adult. And she put more childhood memories post-war into this one, some more nice things to make up for the horrors of it. So yeah, I read the same book twice. So then the question for this one was, how did this book make you feel? I mean, rage? How else did it make you feel? You're listening to a 4-year-old, like the 4-year-old perspective of Auschwitz. So yeah, oof. That was not how I expected to spend my birthday. Wow. So then I needed something light, and I reread Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. I mean, this one's been out for I think it came out in 2014. It's about these mothers. Yeah. Sometimes it's the little lies that turn out to be the most lethal. A murder, a tragic accident, or just parents behaving badly. This follows 3 women. We have Madeline is a force to be reckoned with. She's funny and biting, passionate. She remembers everything and forgives no one. Her ex-husband and his yogi new wife have moved into her beloved beachside community, and their daughter is in the same kindergarten class as Madeline's youngest. How is that possible? That's actually pretty wild. And to top it off, Madeline's teenage daughter seems to be choosing Madeline's ex-husband over her. How is this possible? Then we have Celeste. She is beautiful. Kind of ditzy. She has twin boys who are wild. They're starting kindergarten too. And her husband is rich, so she lives in royalty. But there is something going on in her marriage. And then we have new to town single mom Jane is super young, that to the point that another mother mistakes her for the nanny. And we find out her secrets. And her son Ziggy is blamed for bullying a child. And yeah, it's wild. We see the drama, the school drama leading up to the murder. And we see police interviews throughout the book, so that's interesting. You know the murder happens, you don't know who dies until the end. And like all the moms are getting interviewed by the police and they're talking about the drama as it's happening or after it happens. So like you read a chapter from a month before the trivia, and then at the end of the chapter you read quotes from police transcripts where the women are talking to the cops about the school drama and saying maybe Madeline did it, or you know, whatever. It's a great read. I love this book. I wrote some funny quotes. Madeline is funny. Abigail thinks her dad is wonderful. I'm the only one left holding a grudge. They say it's good to let your grudges go, but I don't know. I'm quite fond of my grudges. I tend it like a pet. I mean, you know, I'm also very fond of my grudges, so I relate to Madeline a lot. The funny thing is, there's a TV show for this book too. I hated her in the show, but she's so funny in the book. She's not. They made her more mean in the show, and they made her like have an affair, and she's horrible in the show. But in the book, she's just funny and snarky, and she does the right thing even when she like doesn't want to. Like, she's mature about her daughter when she goes to live with her ex-husband and his new wife for a while. Here's another quote. She's talking about how her daughter feels about her stepdad. Of course, he was fond of her, and he was a good, attentive stepdad. A tricky role he'd taken on immediately without complaint 2 months after they began dating. Ed went with Abigail to a Father's Day morning tea at school. Abigail had adored him back then, and maybe they would have had a great relationship, except that Nathan, the prodigal father, had returned at the worst time, when Abigail was 11, too old to be managed, too young to understand or control her feelings. That was interesting because, like, basically, Abigail's father left Madeline when Abigail was a baby, and he comes back 10 years later with a new wife and family, and she's not wrong. 11 is kind of this age where you're too old to influence her to hate him, because she has her own thoughts and feelings. I'm not saying you should influence her to hate him, but, like, you know. I don't know. 11 is just a very tricky stage where she can still be influenced by the other side. Just as easily, I guess. I also wrote that it drives me crazy that Madeline has a book club that takes pride in not reading the book. I find that annoying and insulting. She loves saying how she's gonna cheat and ask Celeste for the summary of the book that they read, and I just found it enraging. There was this one scene I'm curious about what you think. So, at the beginning of the book, I told you that Jane's son Ziggy gets accused of bullying this girl, Amabella. Crazy name, Amabella. And instead of Annabella, it's French apparently. So Renata, the mother, basically doesn't invite him to her kid's birthday party. She gives invitations to the rest of the class, but doesn't invite Ziggy. which, I mean, to be fair, she thought that he strangled her daughter, so I wouldn't invite him either, if that's what I thought. But Madeline does something underhanded and gets tickets to this Disney on Ice thing and takes away a bunch of kids from this little girl's birthday party, including her own. She won't let her own kid go, and I'm kind of like, I'm torn. Because that's the right thing to do. Like, should you actually sabotage a 5-year-old's birthday party? And, like, not let your own kid go for this new kid that you barely know? Especially when you don't know if he did it or not. I don't know. I don't think I could do that to my kid. And really the only reason that she sides with Jane and Ziggy is because she hates Renata. Like, it's just an excuse to be spiteful. That's the only, like, one of the few times when I kind of didn't like her. In the show, it's so much worse, but I'm curious. What would you do? Describe the setting of this book. Did you like it, or would you want to go there? I wouldn't mind moving to live near the beach, like they are, and that school sounds fun, like the scenery, but I don't think I'd want to go to have my kids there. I'd want to live in the area, but never have any children, and just laugh at them and their drama from the outside. So yeah. Then the last book I read is The Board by Katie Farber. I gave this one 4 stars. I wanted another book similar to this one. Another school, mom's behaving badly. That might be my theme for this last week. I don't know, we'll see. But this one wasn't as good. It's about, I heard about it from Chloe. So we have single mom Liv and her 3rd grade daughter move to a small New Hampshire town from Boston after a messy divorce and an even messier job loss. And they end up in a school that's kind of corrupt. Within days, Liv is on the problem list of the man who acts both as principal and superintendent in her district, and he shuts down her concerns at a school board meeting. Liv's daughter suffers from anxiety, but the school is run like an army barracks, so it's her trying to investigate the corruption. I didn't really care too much. It was fine. Talk about the main character. Did you relate to him or her? Why or why not? And I wouldn't say I related to her. She's a big social justice warrior, kind of hates men, although, I mean, I guess she's had some bad experiences, so I get it, but it was a little overkill. Like, not every man is out to get you. A lot of these were, but she was mean to the one guy who was trying to help her. I don't know. So now I can't say I related to her or liked her too much either. Like, I know this would have, like, ended the whole story, but I kind of wanted her to take her kid back to Boston. Like, she moved her away from her dad to live in this town, and her kid was miserable in the school. I know that she did the right thing in exposing the corruption, but that's why we're not alike, because I would have just taken my kid and hightailed it out of there. Because my kid was suffering. So, yeah, I don't think we're the same. So, yeah, that is everything I read this week. I don't know how long this has been. I went on too many rants and side tangents. I do have some plans for this week, though, because some new releases are coming out. We have the sequel to Big Little Lies coming out, Big Little Truths. There's another Janice Hallett book coming out, The Silent Appeal. So I actually do have plans this week. I also want to try to read the new Timeless book, Into a Golden Era. And, yeah. I'm not sure what else I'll read. But, yeah. That is everything I've read. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye. My battery's gonna die.
Speech on. Close. Button. Stop recording.